Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and in Pokemon TCG Pocket, there's a bunch of good decks and a bunch of different decks that have different playstyles as well. Instead, I'm going to go about ranking them, and this is just based on how good they are. This is just like playing the game normally, so I am looking at tournament lists. There are some differences in tournaments. Notably, I guess one is that generally tournaments have open deck lists, so that matters. That mostly matters for card counts, though, and theoretically means that decks that are less commonly played are better in regular play, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. But I'm going to be going over the top 10 decks in the game, and I will, at the end of the video, talk about some other decks that are also pretty good. And this is based on my experiences and what I've seen from other people as well. But yeah, playing with and against these decks for the most part. But let's just hop right in. I will also mention that some of the decks I have kind of grouped together, and some people might kind of disagree with how I have them grouped together. So if you disagree with that, then know that the decks grouped together I have rated pretty similarly, and there are some decks that are arguably in the top 10 that I don't have here because of that reason. But yeah, if you have questions, just ask that about that down below in the comments. But the number one deck in the game, and this is going just from 1 to 10, is Decidueye EX with Meowscarada. I don't think this is going to be super controversial because it has you have Meowscarada, which is a really solid, efficient attacking Pokemon. It's a stage 2, it's a single point Pokemon, it's pretty strong. Cry for help with your basic attack on Sprigatito is also really good because it allows you to get Pokemon from your neck, and stage 2 next, the biggest issue is honestly, it's like kind of random whether or not you get your stage 2 into your or your candy into your hand at the right time, or at, at turn 2, and that's like really defining in the game. And Sprigatito has a way to help that out, which is like really good. It's not just because of Sprigatito, obviously, but Meowscarada is a very solid to strong Pokemon. Just in general, the Decidueye EX is also pretty good, and they're grass types. So you have Erica, you also have Lily, which you can use. Lily's like really good in the format right now, as the format is really stage 2 focused. Not all the decks are going to be stage 2 decks here, but a lot of them will be, and a substantial part of that is because of Lily, and then you have Leaf Cape as well. So you're just like super tanky. Your Meowscarada is super tanky. Your Decidueye EX is also super tanky. Decidueye EX is like kind of putting a secondary role in this stack because, again, you do want to use Sprigatito to kind of go get your Meowscarada ideally and get that going. But overall, the deck is definitely very, very strong. Not too much to break down here or explain. But again, if you do have questions, just ask down below in the comments about this. Then the number 2 deck here I have is Incineroar EX Turtonator. I'm just going to say I kind of group all the fire decks together. I'm not going to lie. There's Incineroar EX with Charizard EX. There is Charizard EX by itself. There's Charizard EX Turtonator. There's Incineroar EX. And then Incineroar EX Turtonator is down here. But I personally, I mean, this is the one I see the most. I'm not going to lie. Like, I barely ever see the other decks. But this one is definitely, in my opinion, the best. Or, no, definitely. I think it is the best. I think it is pretty close, though. And there is also Charizard EX Moltres. This deck is, like, worse, I guess. I honestly kind of group it together in my head because it's another Charizard EX, but it is more different. But Incineroar EX is a pretty self-sufficient Pokemon, and I will talk a little bit about Charizard EX here, which is also pretty self-sufficient. Incineroar EX, the reason why I think it's better is because it has more options. Fire Fang is an attack that is okay. It's not insane, but it can do different things. Burn is nice to have on there. And overall, it's just pretty good. And Scar Charge Smash is also good. It's not quite as strong as Charizard EX's second attack, but it's still good. The Shining Revelry Charizard EX, and then it'll generally be on, and it's pretty good, right? It's not insane, but it is good, and the first stack is nice, giving you some earlier pressure, which is good. And then you also have the Turtonator. Turtonator is really good, in my opinion, honestly. Like, Oricorio is very good. I'm going to get to that pretty soon, but Oricorio is just a Pokemon that you really need to be able to deal with. I think if you're playing a deck like honestly, if you're playing just straight Charizard EX, I think you're just asking to run to Oricorio and just like lose. You can't really do anything there, I don't think. You can do more with honestly like any fire deck like except for this. Incineroar EX can burn your opponent, and that will go through Oricorio, and it has decent healing. I guess like good healing. Charizard EX also has good healing. with Lily, and you can use. I mean, you have some options. You can also put like Rocky Helmet, but Turtonator is obviously insanely against Oricorio, so that's really nice. And it also is a single point Pokemon, allowing for potentially better point, like causing point mapping problems for your opponent, because generally they'd wanna, because it's very reasonable that like a Lyn or a Torkoal will go down early, then you'll have your Incineroar EX behind that. That's definitely something that can happen. And in that situation, then your point's just, taking 3 points. But if they knock out the Litten, they knock out the Turtonator, and then they knock out the Incineroar EX, then that's 4 points. So forcing them to go through more Pokemon there, which is nice. It's not absolutely insane or anything like that, but Incineroar EX, plus Turtonator, again, I think it's the best combo of those cards, but overall, I think the Incineroar EX, Charizard EX, and Turtonator are all really, really solid in the game. And solid is the best way to describe them. Honestly, again, you still have this, like, Stage 2, that's, like, the main Choreo deck. Turtonator to Kiawe, that was very good. I didn't mention Kiawe, but, Kiawe, Accelerates Energy to Turtonator, which is really important to it, allowing it to be really fast. We'll talk about Berry a little bit in this video, and you have Berry for Snorlax. Kiawe, Turtonator, in my opinion, is just a better Berry Snorlax. Less versatile, but you are able to, I was gonna say you keep the energy, you like more or less keep the energy, and it's not as big of a commitment. It is a turn, but it's like an early turn as opposed to like some mid-game turn where you've already committed to an attacking Pokemon that isn't necessarily going to be, doing what you need down the road. Anyways, the comparison isn't perfect, but anyways, Turtonator, Kiawe is still a very, very good. And the number 3 deck here I have is the Magnezone Oricorio deck. Magnezone is a Pokemon, or the Magnezone line, I guess, is a really, really good line. I think it's honestly like pretty underrated right now. It's not like absolutely insane, but it's pretty good. It's really weird being a Stage 2 that's not doing the Stage 2 stuff. We see one Lily in this list. Of course, no Rare Candy, because you can't use that. Not being able to use Rare Candy means that you need to find more pieces and at the right time in the right order, and need to take more setup time to use Magneton, though you're not, like, the list plays Lightning Energy, which means that it works way better for Oricorio and Magnezone together. They are able to, like, actually, you're able to attack with them whenever. You're not going to, like, run out of energies or have the wrong types of energies, or just not be able to attack with Oricorio at all, which can happen in some decks, which we might talk about. Not that that's terrible, but that is something to mention. But then, Magnezone's pretty strong. It's not like insanely strong, but it's decently strong. And again, it's kind of like Meowscarada, honestly, a single point Stage 2 Pokemon. Again, there are substantial differences there, but it is pretty nice. And Oricorio is also really good against, obviously, Walling Pokemon. EX is really good, and also Shaman. Shaman's really good with Oricorio. I've said that before, and it's really good. And this allows you to have a tanky Oricorio. It's just a very strong combo, kind of difficult to deal with. Overall, I think Oricorio is both underrated and overrated at the same time, which is like kind of weird and kind of silly to say, but it's a Pokemon that's not going to really solo win games. It can be, I mean, it can, but it's not that common that it will. It can be something that's going to really be nice in certain matchups, but it's something that you need to respect and force your opponent to have to play around it, and it's just really good. Oricorio is probably the best single point Pokemon in the game, in my opinion, because it can kind of like substantially swing games. It doesn't take that much commitment. I don't know. I'm like debating between like Oricorio and like Meowscarada. Those are just like two very different Pokemon. But regardless, Oricorio is really, really good. And the deck is definitely pretty annoying to deal with. But again, it does require some setup stuff. If you just have like one Oricorio, your opponent can probably just go through that eventually. Oricorio isn't like super strong, obviously, in terms of its damage alone is 50. Then the next deck I have here is Solgaleo EX Skarmory. This deck is pretty good. I think, it's a Stage 2 deck. It's 2 energy on a Stage 2 Pokemon doing like low 100s. Kind of reminds you of, Meowscarada, which is a single point Pokemon. I think Solgaleo EX is being a little bit slept on right now, I guess. I mean, it was obviously, it's like, the big new deck from the set. And it is very good. And in my opinion, the best, like, true, like the main attacker is the best main attacker from this set, I guess. I mean, you get Oricorio, Incineroar EX and Sudowoodo EX, but like Solgaleo EX really is the heart of this deck. It's the Pokemon that you're going in with doing good damage. You have the ability to switch in, and so you have some different options doing that, so you're not as vulnerable before your attack, which is really, really nice. The self-damage can be annoying, but it's generally okay. And again, you just have good stats. You have good HP. I was going to say insane HP, but it's not insane HP because you damage yourself. But then you have a very payable attack, very affordable, and then you have a like good amount of damage as well, and you have that nice ability for some extra switching, which can be really nice for different scenarios. And then you have Skarmory. Skarmory is very good. I think Skarmory is proven to be pretty good with Rocky Helmet, Poison Barb, which is like a Rocky Helmet, and a Giant Cape. You have a really solid single point Pokemon as well. The best I'd describe as a poke style Pokemon, where you're just hitting a little bit of damage, right? You're hitting 50, which is okay. It kind of is like Oricorio, except it's only one energy, and it's not really like Oricorio, but they both do 50. And so it is a pretty good Pokemon. Overall, two really solid Pokemon in the deck, and they work decently well together, kind of covering each other's weaknesses. It's not truly insane, but it is definitely a very good deck. I think if you don't have this deck in your top five, I think that's like kind of I mean, I guess I think top five, top seven. I think this deck's being like slept on a little bit right now, and it is very good. I don't know if it's being slept on that much though. I see it a lot, and it's still very good. Then the number five deck I have is Darkrai EX Strategist. This is the deck that I have not seen anyone play, honestly. I've seen people play it, some with the Giratina EX, but that deck's pretty different, and we will get to that. But this is actually where this deck came from, because, I mean, this isn't like a new deck that I came up with or anything like that, but it is a deck. I actually have a whole video on it on my channel if you want to watch that to know how to play this deck, because, again, I haven't really seen anyone play this deck, which is kind of crazy. Like, there's a lot of different decks being played. There's 700 decks being played, and oh, okay, that it looks like, did I misspell it? I don't know. I can't actually find it here. I was gonna say like only okay, yeah, someone's played it here. Oh, it's Darkrai EX Legend. Okay, one person played it, and didn't go, like, super great for them, and that's it. Or no, maybe more than one person. Anyways, like, it's not really played like at all essentially, and I think it's definitely a top 10 deck. If you don't have a top 5, that's fine. I was considering putting this one higher as well, I will say. I feel like it deserves somewhere between like 3 and like 6 or 7. Like, kind of like in similar tier to Solgaleo EX. It's very solid. This deck is like very unique. This is the one I've been playing the most. I guess I'm playing a lot of Meowscarada, this is Joy EX as well, but you have your wall-based deck. It's really slow. I'm not gonna lie. It's like the slowest deck in the game by far, and that might not be what a lot of people want. It's like consistently having like 15 turn games is kind of what you're aiming for, or something like that. And so they are long. You really shouldn't ever hit the turn limit, though I had that happen once or twice. But it is a very slow deck, but it is still very strong. You have good walling options, which decks can't really go through super well. I will say this deck's dropping some. I made a video on this before, but I didn't end up posting it because I didn't feel confident on a lot of the lower rankings. Which I mean, the list is very different since then. I posted it actually by accident, and now it's members only. So if you want or are interested in that, you can find that there. I don't even remember if it's a complete video or not. I don't know, but I like made a list at one point, and this was higher, but then notably Turtonator isn't good for it. Fire used to be like an auto win without Turtonator, because Incineroar EX is not doing that much to you, and then that's about it. Like, the single point Pokemon aren't that good. They don't have very much HP, and so you generally would be fine there. But now Turtonator makes it like kind of awkward, and then the other stuff's like more or less all right. It's not like you have insane matchups against all the other decks, but definitely a very, very solid deck here. You just send up your walls, Darkrai EX their opponent a bunch. Also, a lot of healing can get annoying, and your opponent will generally consistently have access to that healing because they have the draws, because they're going to draw through their whole deck, right? So Darkrai EX, though, is a very good Pokemon, one of the best EXs in the game as well, in my opinion, when given the time to like really set up and get going through the use of attaching over and over and over again for like 5-10 turns in a row. It's very good at that point. It does a lot of damage. I've talked about this deck a bunch already, though, in the past, as I said, and yeah, it's good. It's not like destroying everything or anything like that, but I'd say if you don't think this deck's good, play it like 10 times or something like that. Definitely, try to not play aggressively. Play very passively with this deck, but it is pretty good just hiding behind those walls and ping your opponent over and over, and eventually they won't be able to beat you. They're just going to not be able to damage you enough while avoiding damage themselves, and you'll eventually just kind of win. But again, the deck is cool. Oricorio is sometimes something you're kind of relying on. It isn't the most reliable thing, but overall, again, I do think the deck is very solid here. Then, and we'll talk about Darkrai EX as well and some similar decks later on. Again, I do think Oricorio with Magnezone is the better Oricorio deck, though, by just a little bit. Then the next deck I have here is Arceus EX Crobat Carnivine. This is a deck that is also, it's pretty good. You have Crobat to ping damage. You have Carnivine to be a solid attacking option, just like Skarmory, and you have Arceus EX, which is like, it's kind of like Giratina EX, but in my opinion, it's better. If you know me, actually, I haven't really talked about this that much, but I don't think Giratina EX is that good, which I'm going to kind of break down a little bit when we get there. But Arceus GX is like fine. It's a bunch of energies. It's like not one-shotting stage twos. I mean, it can with Crobat, but you need a lot of things going your way to get that and get that quickly. Overall, the deck is pretty solid, though. You have different options. They're all pretty good. Carnivine, like Skarmory, is good, though not something you can really like. I mean, if you get it before your opponent sets up, then it can just kind of sweep them, but probably won't do that. But you just have that. Then you have the Arceus EX to do solid damage, and Crobat to add some extra stuff because you're not doing quite enough all the time. The deck is pretty good. It's not truly insane. It doesn't truly shine in one particular area, but it is a really, really solid deck in my opinion, coming in right here, like in the middle of the top 10 list. The next deck we have, though, this one is Rampardos Garchomp EX. Honestly, this is probably my least favorite deck to play of any of the decks on the top 10, or honestly any deck in Pocket, although I do play it some. But it's a deck that to me feels like really random. Really reliant on whether you draw what you need, and it doesn't seem like there's really any way to like get help your draws either, right? So you're kind of relying on that. In my opinion, obviously it's kind of true for any stage 2 deck or any like somewhat comboing deck, but I don't know. To me, it's felt really random. But regardless, the deck is still pretty good. I played with and against it quite a bit, and it is a deck that Rampardos is a very strong attacking Pokemon, doing 130 for 1. If you just read that, that's like the best stat line in the game. Obviously, you do damage yourself, but that's not like that bad. It's not awesome, but it is what it is. You can kind of live with it generally. Lily, of course, is good in the deck, and so that's nice for surviving hits. And Garchomp EX is a very solid Pokemon. Garchomp EX isn't insane, but linear attack is a very nice attack. Definitely one of the better one energy attacks in the game. It kind of looks like Incineroar EX attack doing 50 for 1, but it also snipes, which is really good. Incineroar EX can technically do more than 50, can do 70 for 1 if your opponent doesn't flip heads and then doesn't switch or evolve. Theoretically, you can do more, but not really because you're kind of assuming you're attacking with it every turn, and also they need to be like super unlucky for that to happen and kind of let you do that. But regardless, Garchomp EX's first attack is very, very nice. Its second attack is like fine, definitely kind of necessary to clean things up, but it's also expensive and kind of hard to get going all the time without getting knocked out. But overall, the deck is pretty good. Doesn't really have that much comeback potential in my opinion. I mean, like Rampardos is really good, but like I don't know. I wouldn't call that comeback personally. So maybe the comeback potential thing is like kind of a weird comment, but overall, you kind of need to get going, and then once you're going, you just kind of apply a lot of pressure to your opponent's Pokemon, and you do have the Rampardos as well to kind of threaten stuff, and of course take big knockouts, or probably one big knockout using Rampardos, because again, you do damage yourself, but it is still a very strong Pokemon. If you get it going early, it can be really insane. Can be insane with Lily. Often is not in my experience because you're doing damage going into your opponent's turn, and then you take damage, so you're probably getting knocked out, but still very, very solid deck. Not insane, but pretty good. The next deck I have here, this one is Giratina EX Snorlax Greninja. This one I think is the best one using Giratina EX. I think that using Giratina EX without Psychic Energy is super sketchy because like it's almost impossible to attack, and once you attack, you're committed to it. Then you're playing Psychic Energy, which you'd rather be a psychic deck, right? So the reason, again, without psychic energy, you need to have 3 turns of not attacking, which like isn't great. So you'd rather not be doing that. So that's why I don't like Giratina EX. And also its attack, like it does 130, it does 20 to itself though. Then it's at 130 HP, and then you can get knocked out by Meowscarada, which I feel like happens like all the time in my experience playing with and against Giratina EX / with and against Meowscarada. I feel like that happens all the time. Also, Darkrai EX does 80. This is 120, which is like not quite as much, but they might have like Rocky Helmet or something. You're not like trading awesomely with that. It's like okay, I guess. And again, this one is also kind of similar to Carnivine. Well, no, why did I call it that? Arceus EX Crobat, which plays Carnivine. Um, because you have the Giratina EX in a similar role to the Arceus EX. Crobat similar to Greninja, which I do think Greninja is better than Crobat, notably because of the sniping the bench aspect to it. You have Snorlax, which is kind of like Carnivine, but it's not as fast and it's not as consistent as Carnivine, which is like not as good. Giratina EX does force you to take turns off when powering it up. You're also attaching to Snorlax and maybe attaching to Greninja as well, or not attaching to Greninja, but then relying on Giratina EX, which is not truly an attacking Pokemon that can just like bulldoze through your opponent's Pokemon. It's not really going to be doing that. Overall, though, Giratina EX is all right. Snorlax is like pretty solid, though kind of hit or miss because you need the berry. I mean, that's not like the end of the world, but berry, you need multiple turns of attachments as well on top of berry, and then you do go to sleep, and then you need Pokemon certainly to wake up potentially, or probably not. You probably wake up, but it's there to help with that. And again, Greninja is good, but you're like relying on getting your stage 2, and it's not like getting your Greninja on the board. It's like winning you the game on the spot or anything like that. Unlike a stage 2 like really most of the attacking stage 2s, right? Once they're on the board, they're like an insane threat. Greninja on the board is a timer to your opponent and is going to help you in the more turns you have with Greninja on the in play is good, but it's not a Pokemon that again just like wins in the spot or anything like that. Then we have the next deck here. This one is Giratina EX Greninja Oricorio. I kind of consider not putting this one on, not gonna lie, but I think I kind of want to talk about it. I think it's all right, and I think the big issue is it doesn't play Psychic Energy with Giratina EX, which means that attacking is kind of awkward. Giratina EX often just gets kind of pushed to the side because you want to do some early damage with Oricorio, but you have Greninja and Oricorio, which is a pretty solid combo, and of course Shaman, again, really good with Oricorio, and like pretty solid with Greninja. Overall, the deck is pretty good. It's not the best way to play Oricorio. Magnezone kind of threatens more damage. I mean, it does threaten more damage. Theoretically, if you're buying like tons of turns using Oricorio, then Greninja is really good. But also, if you're buying tons of turns with Oricorio, it doesn't really matter. You should be fine anyways. And then Giratina EX again isn't like quite an awesome fit within the deck. Again, like I've seen it a lot. I see a lot of Giratina EX, although I am seeing it less as I've been going up ranked, honestly. But Giratina EX doesn't quite fit within the deck, and you're kind of lacking that big attacking option. Again, you can use Giratina EX, but then you're not really doing much before then. Your opponent then kind of has free pressure on you, which is like bad for you, obviously. The deck is okay though. Again, I consider not putting this on. So if you would like not count this deck, that's fine too. Then I have the number 10 deck. This is another Rampardos deck. I also consider not putting this one on. Rampardos is a Pokemon, again, I talked about it. It's like really strong. Lycanroc is a really solid Pokemon. You have Signs of Evolution on Rockruff to set up as well. So overall, just a really solid deck. This one definitely feels more consistent than Lycanroc feels more consistent than Garchomp EX, obviously. Unless you have the attack and you're not a stage 2. But then obviously it's not like insanely strong, lower HP, kind of like a riskier attacker, kind of like reminds me of the like Primeape that people played some, though not that much. But Lycanroc is definitely a pretty decent Pokemon here. It's not like insanely strong, but it's pretty good. And Rampardos, of course, is still very good. The best like pure talent of an attack in the game. It's quite good. Then the next I didn't talk about, of course, the big one is Giratina EX, Darkrai EX. This deck, this is going to be viewed differently, so we can't see it as well. But Darkrai EX, Greninja EX, the big issue is that you're like not attacking a lot of the turns, and you also don't have a wall to hide behind. Like your opponent's just going to be hitting into your EXs. I mean, you have like Komala if you're playing that, but that's not like a great wall or anything. Overall, I think this deck just isn't super good. Pretty like almost every time I played with or against the deck, it's felt like not super good. Which is not a good thing to say. Like I'm not looking at it being like, oh well, I got like unlucky and this got this potential, or like, oh, it's like solid but doesn't have true breakthrough potential. No, I'm like, oh well, it has like a low ceiling and also, I mean, the floor's not like that low. The floor's like okay, but it's not like insane either. So overall, the deck just feels kind of flat, honestly. Like I don't know why it's the top play deck on Limitless. I just think it's kind of mid to bad. I mean, I don't think it's a top 10 deck. I don't think it's like, I could see it like sneaking into the tail end of the top 10, but not because it's good, but rather because like you're like chopping off, like not counting some of these bottom decks, and like they're not like insane. Like like in Rock Vampire isn't like super good either. That I didn't talk about. I mean, I talked about the fire decks, but I have them all grouped together. They'd probably be top, like sprinkled around the top 10 here and there, but they're fine. Again, I do think the best one is Incineroar EX Turtonator, but if you think there's a different one, that's fine. I think if you're playing one that auto loses to Oricorio, like the straight Charizard DX1, or honestly Charizard DX Incineroar, I think it's like I wouldn't do that, but you know that is your decision. Lucario, Rampardos, that was actually my consideration for that number 10 spot as well. This is one that I honestly don't see that much anymore, and I haven't really messed with too much either. And it's fine. It's not insane. It's like it's pretty different being a single point deck, which isn't like tanky, and it feels like it can get kind of outsped, but it can be good as well. It's certainly a fine enough deck. Then the Lunala EX, Giratina EX deck as well. This one, in my opinion, is not very good. It's kind of funny. It can do some cool things. Giratina EX, Lunala EX is admittedly a pretty good combo, but also like it's a stage 2 EX and it's not very strong. Then Giratina EX also isn't like super good. And so you just kind of end up with this combination of like these kind of mediocre Pokemon. They're not like that bad, but they're not super strong. Ultimately, your like crazy combo is doing 200, or no, sorry, doing 100, which isn't like that much. Or I guess you could do more using Giratina EX or Mewtwo EX, but then you're not really doing anything super special with Lunala EX, especially if you're just attacking Giratina EX. That's like kind of underwhelming, honestly, at the end of the day, when you also have the stage 2 going on. The deck's okay, but it's not that good, right? I'd say it's like not super serious. I don't have anything to say about Aerodactyl EX Rampardos. Beedrill EX Beedrill is like okay. Meowscarada Sarina, I will mention something about this deck. This one's all right. Obviously, you have the Coin Flips Orange Sarina, which is like kind of sketchy. Obviously, also it's pretty similar to Meowscarada. This is right EX here, just mostly Meowscarada, right? But it's all right. It's definitely not that bad. Definitely not a deck I would play realistically because you have the Coin Flip aspect to you. Carbonal EX is like all right. And I've been seeing Togekiss. Oh, randomly, I've been seeing like a lot of Toucannon as well. I don't know why I've been seeing so much, not like that much, but like I've seen it a bunch of times. Oh, and then there also is the like Oricorio like switching walling decks, so, like the Oricorio. Oh, and the Toucannon, yeah, Toucannon Rampardos is what I've been seeing a lot of. But there's the Oricorio with Tapu Koko. There we go. I was blanking on the name. That deck's like not super good, but I see it from time to time. It's all right. Definitely not the best Oricorio deck. Probably like the fourth or fifth best Oricorio deck. Whatever the ones I said, and maybe one or two more like are better than it. But yeah, I figured I'd mention that deck. I do see it some, and it's like kind of fun, but it's not super strong. But tell me down below what you think of the pocket decks, deck you play, what decks you like to play against, what decks you don't like to play against. But I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking and subscribing, hitting the bell, all the good stuff, because I'm excited to bring some really cool content in the future. I got some really big plans, but I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.